Hey, what's up? This is Chosen, and in this video, we are going to be talking about a topic that's right up my alley and the type of stuff I like to keep my ear to the ground on. Late last week, we got word the Diablo Immortal has reportedly made over $300 million. So what I wanted to do was talk about giving you some context on that. Is that good? Is that bad? Is that overachieving, underachieving? How does that compare to other games? I've been covering mobile games for almost 5 years right now. I've been a content creator for like 12 years. I worked in finance, so I wanted to give you some context on exactly what this means and how it could affect the Diablo Immortal and Diablo in general landscape and all of that. So let's get into it. Alrighty, so this has been a big post. I've seen this all over Reddit. I'm getting this article here that I'll link to down below, literally from msn.com. Diablo Immortal has always been extremely mainstream. There is a big interest in it. I don't know the word for it. The backlash was very mainstream. I don't know if I've ever seen a mobile game from its launch be covered as mainstream as Diablo Immortal. Very, very much a lot of attention being paid to the monetization and to how the players are feeling and the community feedback and how much money it's making and all of that stuff. So I want to make sure and give you some context around the different things going on. The article says that Diablo Immortal, Blizzard's mobile-focused entry into its action RPG franchise, has now earned over $300 million in revenue, according to reports. For reference, now this is funny because this is literally right up my alley. I am literally a gaming content creator that does two different channels, one for Raid Shadow Legends and one for Diablo Immortal mainly, and the Diablo universe in general. So this is hilarious. This article was kind of written for me. The hugely popular Raid Shadow Legends made a record earnings in 2021, reaching $370 million. I'm glad this came up because I was actually researching and preparing for this video. I had looked up, I won't be able to crop this in successfully, but I was kind of looking up and doing some research on the highest earning games, and the number for Raid on there seemed off. So I'm glad that this article kind of clarified that. So $370 million in 2021 for Raid. Honestly, it seems low, if anything. I mean, I know we're in 2022, like over a year later than this, but it seems like Raid's closer to like 500 million. But anyway, this puts Diablo Immortal, which only came out this summer, well ahead of the curve, at least financially. Around its launch, the game was the target of harsh criticism and fan backlash. Even though many reviews described satisfying and fun gameplay consistent with the Diablo series, players were outraged at the game's egregious microtransaction economy and took to review bombing Immortal in protest. Blizzard Entertainment President Mike Ybarra defended the microtransactions. I actually did a video on this channel talking about this. So the too long didn't watch version of that Mike Ybarra defending microtransactions was his justification was like, players get an introduction to the Diablo universe for free. They can play the campaign for free and experience everything the game has to offer for free. Then the end game is where, if people want to keep going, that's where the microtransactions come into play. That was his justification. Now, I said I disagree with that because the whole point of Diablo and the Diablo universe is the end game. Like, you're not experiencing the game until you experience the end game. So I disagree with that take, but that was his take, stating that the majority of players don't pay anything at all. That didn't soothe angry fans, though, who are faced with a system that aggressively pushes them to the use of real money or else deal with a massive grind. Well, that's not even fair. It's not really push them to use real money or deal with a massive grind, because the things that you get with real money can't be grinded for. You can't grind resonance. So it's not really, this isn't really an accurate statement. It's basically use real money or sit out. But anyway, despite the negative gamer sentiment, this strategy seems to be paying off for the company in a very literal sense. 5 months after its initial release, Diablo Immortal has now earned over 300 million worldwide. The figure consists of 155 million earned from the game's initial launch in 60 countries and a whopping 144 million from a separate China-only launch handled by NetEase Games. Okay, second only to Tencent. Okay, yeah, so that's kind of crazy. So the Chinese market is basically equal to the rest of the world combined. You can see here they got about 150 million from both the global launch and then 150 million about from the Chinese launch. So you can see why these companies really prioritize making sure they hit that market very well. And that's funny, it's actually playing this video here talking about Diablo 4 reportedly launching in April of next year. That is something I also want to cover here on the channel because I actually disagree with that. I would be shocked if we see Diablo 4 in April of 2023 as far as like a global live full launch. That would really surprise me. But anyway, different topic for a different day. We have got, it is important to note that the Chinese release of the game was over a month and a half after its release elsewhere. Even so, the Chinese revenue nearly matched that of the rest of the world. The country has the highest number of Diablo Immortal downloads of any region at 4.15 million out of a global of 21.4 million. That's roughly 19% of all downloads. But when compared to how much money those players are spending in game, it proves how important the gaming Chinese market is. Now, we can use this data to figure out what the average person who downloads Diablo Immortal spends, and I want to do that real quick. So we pull out the trusty calculator. We've got 300 million in revenue divided by 21.4 million players that downloaded, and you get about $14 per download. So if you have spent more than $14, you are a whale. No, I'm kidding. But anyway, you know, that number gets skewed because you have a lot of people that when a game launches, they just download the game with no intention of ever spending anything. They're like, okay, oh, Diablo Immortal came out. Okay, let me download that and mess around on it for 15 minutes and see what that's all about. So that number is probably a lot different now, but it's kind of interesting to note that the average download for Diablo Immortal is about $14. I would say that's probably pretty high, honestly. Like most games probably don't reach that. The most games probably average somewhere like $2 or $3 per download. So yeah, anyway, I'd have to do some research into that, but it seems high for an average download, especially with that many millions of downloads. Diablo Immortal has been included among the worst microtransactions in gaming history, yet despite heavy industry, media, and fan criticism, the financial gain can't be denied, and it could lead to the company going down a worrying path, one many gamers are already seeing in Blizzard properties. If the pay-to-win, or at least pay-to-win faster model is working financially, gamers are likely wondering how much more of it they will see. Ibarra may point out that the money earned only comes from a small percentage of players, but also implies that an equally small percentage of players are fine with the choice to monetize so aggressively. The enjoyment for the majority of players, therefore, may be limited. Diablo Immortal isn't the only Blizzard title to push through troubling microtransactions, however. The extreme prices in the Overwatch 2 shop have been the focus of much backlash as well. Fans can only hope that's not a well, okay, I would push back a little bit on this. The Overwatch 2 stuff is completely different. Well, at least it was. We did have some drama recently around a new hero only being available for people that have purchased a battle pass, which then that's going to create backlash, because when you queue into a game of Overwatch 2, you're kind of at the RNG of luck. Like, did my tank player spend enough money to have the new tank that's insanely broken and strong? Oh, they didn't. Okay, we lose. GG. So like. The backlash over cosmetics and skins in Overwatch 2, I would push back on. These companies have to make money because games cost like $100 million to develop nowadays. So they have to monetize somehow. And I don't see a better way to do that than cosmetics. So I disagree with the backlash on Overwatch 2 cosmetics, but I do agree with the backlash on the new tank they released behind a paywall. That I definitely disagree with. So I would say some of the Overwatch 2 stuff is justified and some of it is a little bit overzealous. And I also wanted to talk about this when we've got the list of highest grossing mobile games. I wanted to talk about, is 300 million a success? Is this let's put this number into context a little bit. So currently this says that it's accurate, as it was checked for accuracy as of June 2022. Now, I saw on here the game that I'm most knowledgeable with in the mobile market is probably Raid Shadow Legends, in terms of covering it on a daily basis since its launch. And they had a Raid Shadow Legends on here at 247 million, which I told you a little bit ago I thought was a little bit low. I thought Raid hit 247 million like a year and a half ago or so. I believe this is closer to like 400 something million at this point. So some of these are not going to be like perfectly accurate, probably. Obviously, when you have this many games trying to whittle down to one number for each, it's going to have a little bit of discrepancy, but it can give you an idea of the landscape. So we can see here that some of the best games in the world are hitting 10 billion in revenue with a B. That's like your PUBG mobiles, your Clash of Clans, your Pokemon Go, some of these insane games that are hitting 8 to 10 billion in revenue, which is completely bonkers. Now Genshin Impact's a famous one. That one's at 3.5, probably closer to 4. Now you've got Clash Royale. Everybody knows how big that game is in the Tencent universe, Clash of Clans universe. So between Clash Royale and Clash of Clans, they have eclipsed 10 billion. So when we get down to the Diablo Immortal range, which is going to be around here, like in the 300 to 400 million pool, there's only a few games in that realm, in that 300 to 400 million realm, where you've got FIFA, Angry Birds 2, and then some of your random like 8-ball pool type games, Black Desert Mobile. So right now, Diablo Immortal probably a top 60 or 70 game in terms of total revenue, which I would say is obviously a big success when you're talking about a game that's 4 or 5 months old, because it launched about 5 months ago in like the Western full global market, and then about a month and a half later in the Chinese market. So you're talking 4 or 5 months old and a top 60-ish game all time in revenue. Yeah, I would say that's success from their view, which I agree with the article saying that's probably a little bit worrisome because it could become a trend that other games are going to follow, and they're not going to care about the average gamer. They're going to care about the revenue and catering to those top 1% of players that really drive these games hitting crazy numbers like this. And to that, I would say, I do think we're starting to see a shift. I think there's starting to be a little bit of a what's the word I'm looking for? An apathy towards this type of stuff from gamers. Like I think if they launch another game like Diablo Immortal, it won't be as crazy of spending the first month. I think people are starting to hit like people have been milked so much that I think there's starting to be a little bit of apathy towards this type of a game. I think, I could be wrong, but I think, like, you know, I'm seeing a lot of new games come out like Infinite Magic Raid and stuff like that, that I used to see people really just dive in and whale out instantly on, and people aren't really doing that anymore. People are like, I'm gonna try it, but I'm gonna be free to play. People that used to really spend a lot of money. So I think that sentiment is starting to change. It could be a little bit of the economy, the recession and stuff like that. I think if Diablo Immortal came out like 3 years ago when things were booming, when we were in kind of a bull run economy, I think it would probably be like 400 something million in revenue instead of 300. I think right now things are constricting a little bit, and we're going to be in a recession, it looks like, for probably a year or two, trying to correct some of the crazy inflation going on in a lot of the Western markets. So we could see a little bit of a pullback on that type of monetization. And Diablo is going to be having a game in Diablo 4 come out in 2023 where they claim, as of right now, they claim there's going to be no pay to win aspects in it, and you're only going to be paying for cosmetics. So a lot of the route that Overwatch 2 was talking about going. Now, I wonder if Diablo 4 will put a new class behind a seasonal battle pass, and they can try to market that as it's not pay to win or anything. It's just a new class locked behind a battle pass. That's kind of like what Overwatch did with a new tank. So there's going to be lots of interesting things to follow in the next year or so around a lot of this stuff and how it's functioning in the market and the Diablo universe in specific. So yeah, let me know what you think down below. Always love reading through your perspectives as well. And remember to subscribe on your way out if you enjoy Diablo content. I'll see you soon in the next video. Thanks for watching. Peace.